My mic was off that whole time. Huh. We were supposed to be watching this video and talking about it at the same time, and I just my mic wasn't on. I guess we just fucking start over, huh? What I was saying is that I got myself some salad cookies, some cucumbers as they were so aptly named. This video is a year old, but I wanted to watch it because this was during like the height of the GPU crisis where shit was way too expensive still. I think it's still kind of expensive, but I think that's just like the new norm. I don't think 50 series and 60 series GPUs are going to be as cheap as they used to be. Mic's not working. It is now. Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate that. Thanks. It should be working now, right? The CPUs have never been super duper expensive. Like they haven't. I feel like their value hasn't changed, but the GPUs have, and that's like usually the most important part of a gaming PC. A year ago, Gaming Bolt put this video talking about how much it would cost to make a PS5. I mean, a PC that's relatively the same performance as a PS5.
Of consoles
I'll pause on the next thing I was going to stop on here in a second.
With folks over at Sony and Microsoft having launched the PS5 and Xbox Series X and S respectively. Games like Bluepoint's Demon's Souls remake and Insomniac's Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart are great showcases.
Rift Apart looks amazing, by the way. I don't know if you guys have seen that game. Let me see. Oh, 1080p's the highest. Oh, okay, weird.
Sony's hardware.
You guys aren't doing
Xbox
4K
Series
video editing
X
yet?
might
I guess it was a year ago.
Edge over Sony's machine in some facets of hardware, but games like Halo Infinite are yet to showcase the console's fullest potential.
All right, I had to stop there and say that. And the reason why is because this game wasn't actually optimized for Xbox Series X and S. It was actually optimized for Xbox One S and X. They dumbed down the game. They made it weaker so that it would be able to run on really, really old hardware. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart or whatever it's called isn't on PS4. It's only on PS5. So that's why it looks so great. But this game, like, even if you played on Series S and X, like, yeah, it's running at 4K. It looks nice, but like, it could probably look significantly better.
Consoles have become pretty close to PC in many ways
No.
over the years, with PS4 and Xbox One utilizing the same x86 instruction set that most desktop CPUs use, as opposed to the PowerPC and cell chips found in consoles like the PS3 and Xbox 360 respectively. This has, in turn, called for a number of comparisons to PCs with new consoles, often being touted as the most bang for your buck. Of course,
It's true.
Owning a gaming PC or a console has its own set of advantages and disadvantages. That's
Okay, PCs are pretty big. Like, legitimately fucking huge. Like, even if you make like a mini ITX PC, it's probably bigger or as big as the PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, especially if you want any sort of actual good performance. Right? If you're packing something like a 3080, 3060, 3070 in there, 2080, 2080 Ti, 2070. If you're packing shit like that in there, mini ITX, it's going to have to be a really wide frame. You're not going to be able to fit any really nice graphics cards in there that aren't big. They're going to be big. They're going to be dual fan cards, triple fan cards. And that's not a problem, but portability is not like super important for consoles. Like, yeah, you could like lug your console to your friend's house, but I mean, if you want a portability, you would just get a laptop anyway, right? Or a Steam Deck. I think that's like one of the arguments people make, and you can take a PS5 or Xbox Series X somewhere as quickly as you could probably take your PC, depending on the tower you built it in.
undebatable. That being said, it's always interesting to validate, time after time again, whether claims of consoles being the ultimate way to play at a budget are indeed true.
They are.
With this in mind, we tried to build a PC using all new off-the-shelf components
Oh, God.
that should give performance results as close as possible or even better when compared to Sony's latest and greatest.
Good luck.
The pricing of hardware is based on what they were during the time of writing this feature.
Uh-oh.
It may change in the future. Also, we have tried to include components that were close to the PS5's hardware, as it's not feasible to have a one-to-one component list. Before we begin...
Yeah, we don't even have... I don't think GDDR6 memory exists for desktop computers. I think GDDR5 is what we're at right now. I don't think we have DDR6 RAM currently. So the consoles using it, they're using GDDR6, which is found in graphics cards, but they haven't made it readily available for desktops. So like no biggie, I guess. But like when you think about it, consoles use all of their RAM together as system RAM and like graphics RAM, right? They don't have specifically VRAM and then system RAM. computers do. Big difference, right? I have a 16 gig kit of RAM in my computer, plus the 4 gigs of onboard memory for my graphics card, totaling technically 20 gigs of RAM. When you think about it that way, when I move up to an 8 gig graphics card or a 12 gig graphics card, 3060 or 2070, right? When I do that, I'll have even more RAM because I have the 16 plus 8 or plus 12, giving me, I'm bad at math here, 24 or 20, bad at math, 24 or 26, 28, 28. Whatever, something like that, right? And that's pretty cool. I think that's like a big difference that people always forget about. They're like, dude, these things have 16 gigs of RAM. They're so close to a PC now. It's like, yeah, they're still using their onboard memory as memory for the graphics, which means maybe it would mess with load times. Maybe it would mess with like swapping from application to application, quick start stuff that the Xbox Series X can do. I wouldn't know. I've used an Xbox Series X because my former boss, I used to work in a restaurant, and he had one upstairs in like the non-work area, in like the arcade area, and I messed with it. I helped him set it up and all that stuff, and it seemed really fast. Like, it was a very fast piece of technology, especially for the price. But I didn't have like 5 things open at once. I had like a game, and then I had like the Xbox store open at the same time or something, right? I didn't have like a browser open plus this, that, the other. I'm running YouTube in a tab for this video. I'm running Streamlabs in another tab. Yeah, I'm using Streamlabs. Fight me. I have Discord open. I have Task Manager open and Steam up, right? All of those things are open right now. I don't know if consoles could handle that.
And enabling all notifications by clicking the bell icon. With that out of the way,
we move this out of the way. Boop.
The CPU. The PS5 uses a custom AMD CPU with 8 cores
and 16 threads. Yep.
Running at 3.5 gigahertz. The CPU upgrade to next-gen consoles has remained underappreciated for some time now, as the jump from what was essentially a mobile-grade Jaguar core from the PS4 and
that was pretty bad.
Xbox One has a substantial impact on performance, which many gamers are utilizing to push frame rates up to 120 frames per second. For our PC of choice, we went with the Ryzen 7 3700X.
Hey, cool.
Like Sony's PS5,
that's what I'm going to be using.
Ryzen 7
it's Zen 2 architecture. Nice.
The same Zen 2 CPU architecture and features a total of 8 cores and 16 threads. Running at a base.
You still buy those new last year? Wasn't the Ryzen 7 5700X already out? Or 5800X?
Furthermore, there's also overclocking support for enthusiasts, which can push these numbers even higher. We also considered the Ryzen 7
5700G. There we go.
With the 3700X, since getting a compatible hardware for the latter is quite cheaper than the former. On the topic of price, the Ryzen 7 3700X has an MSRP
is it $189?
$129.
$329?
Usually be found at around the same price.
Okay.
GPU. Sony's PS5 uses a custom RDNA 2 GPU, which shares the same die with the CPU. It features a total of 36 CUs at 2.23 GHz to achieve 10 teraflops of power.
That's pretty good.
Has proven
Look at that game. That game looks so fucking beautiful.
With first-party games,
I've watched playthroughs of this game and like Twitch streams of it, and it looks amazing. Like when people stream it like higher than 1080p, when people stream it like 1440p, and they're running at 60, dude. Oh my gosh.
RTX 3060, which features a total
Okay,
of
that's fair. A 3060?
3,584 Turing architected CUDA cores. Running
You could go for like a 3060 here, an RX 5700 XT, an RX 5800 XT, a Ryzen, a GTX, an RTX 2070, 2060 Super probably. Like, there's a lot of things that are very, very similar to this. I think the reason why he went for that one is because of it. The problem is, it's closer in like teraflops. It's closer in teraflops, right? I'll give it that. But it has too much more memory. I don't think that it's even powerful enough to use the full 12 gigs that are on board, like, because you're probably not going to be able to play truly 4K 120 FPS games on a 3060, like on a base 3060, on a 3060 Ti. The 3060 Ti is significantly stronger when it comes to the base clock, the CUDA cores, and the frequency, the memory interface frequency. If you see it here, right? So the memory interface frequency is 256 compared to 192, right? And then it also has a base clock of 141 and 1.41 instead of 1.31, but the boost clock is higher for the basic 3060, and I think it's because it has more onboard memory. Also, the CUDA cores, definitely a higher CUDA core count.
1.8 gigahertz.
I don't know. This one seems more feasible, the 3060 Ti, because it only has 8 gigs of GDDR6 instead of 12. I don't even know if this thing can use the full 12. I'm going to be real. Unless like you overclocked it to high hell, I don't think it's powerful enough to use 12 gigs. This is the first 30 series card. It's the first 60s series card. 1060, 960, 1060, 1660, 2060 to have 12 gigs. They've never had that many.
To achieve a raw grunt of 13 teraflops of shader performance, which is 30% higher than the PS5.
Oh.
The PS5's custom GPU shares a central pool of 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM with the CPU, while the RTX 3060, obviously enough, has a total of 12 gigabytes of GDDR6.
That's all by itself, not in the system.
Name alone. NVIDIA's deep learning super sampling technology, commonly
DLSS.
abbreviated as DLSS 2.0, does the RTX 3060 great favors, as it allows games to run at high resolutions with all the graphical bells and whistles without losing much detail. The RTX
So let me explain DLSS to anyone who doesn't understand how deep learning super sampling and AMD FSR work. Basically what they are is they are upscalers that sharpen and make the game, they try to make the game look as close to native resolution as possible while actually rendering it in a lower resolution, right? So say you are using DLSS at 4K, it's going to render the game in 1080p or 1440p and upscale and sharpen to make it look as close to native 4K as possible, saving a lot of frames, because technically the way it works is that's kind of what consoles have done forever, except consoles have I don't know what it's called, but they basically have like a resolution scaling setting built in for the most part, right? So you are playing Red Dead Redemption 2 at 4K on your PS4 Pro or your Xbox One X, right? You're playing at 4K or 2K, whatever they're able to handle. I think they can handle up to 4K technically. And they're running as close to 30 FPS as possible at probably 720 or 900p, upscaled to as close to 4K as they can possibly get without your eyes noticing that they're not actually at 4K. That's kind of what consoles do. And I think that having that tech in PCs now makes PCs significantly more appealing when it comes to building your own than they used to be. Because back in the day, the only way to get something like that, a feature like that, was to play on console, was to play on a PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. Those things had those feature sets, and consoles never did. Closest thing, the PCs never did. The closest thing that most PC games have now is like resolution scale sliders, or like target FPS to like reduce your resolution to hit that FPS. That's like the closest thing, and it doesn't really scale 1-to-1. It's not the same thing, because when that happens on PC, on PS4, sometimes it actually renders the game at a native 1080p. When it can handle 1080p or 1440p, 30 FPS or 60 FPS, whatever it's targeting, it runs that. And when it can't, to keep up with that 60 FPS or that 30 FPS or 45 FPS target, whatever the target may be, it downscales to 720, 900. It does that, and it's usually pretty seamless. It looks a little grainy. Sometimes if you really got a good eye for it, it's a little grainy, but it does it so seamlessly that a lot of times you won't even notice. On PC, you're gonna notice, right? Most of us play with our fucking frame rates on is the problem. So we're gonna see that FPS drop, or we're gonna see that like our game is definitely a little more artifacty, and like there's less anti-aliasing. You know, you can see those jagged edges more, and you're like, this is weird. But DLSS tries to copy basically what newer generation consoles can do without losing the performance.
RTX 3060 is available at an MSRP of $329.
Good luck finding one at $329.
So you might be hard pressed to find a card at that seemingly
good luck.
good
luck.
A multitude of reasons ranging from scalping to global silicon shortages have knocked the prices sky high. So grabbing one alone.
I remember last year when I was looking at 3060s, because I know they'll fit in this chassis, they'll fit in this case for sure, 100%. And I would just need a different adapter, like I have an 8-pin. So I would need to get an 8-pin to 12-pin splitter, or an 8-pin to dual 6 for the 3060, because I think the 3060 uses a 12-pin, if I'm not mistaken. I was looking at them, and it was almost the cost of my PC. When I bought this PC, it was like $550. It was like 580 something for an RTX 3060 last year. And I was like, fuck no, I'm not. No, I'm good.
The motherboard. For the motherboard, you are
B450 and
free
Pro.
to choose any supported B450, B550, X570 variant from a number of manufacturers. For the sake of keeping the total price point as low as possible, we went with the ASR AUK B450M Pro 4, which claims to support the Ryzen 3000 series right out of the box, without a BIOS update, and
Good.
comes with most of the
Fuck
basic
BIOS
IO
updates. All my
amenities
homies hate
that
BIOS
requires
updates.
from a motherboard. It can usually be found for around $70. Of course, there are always higher priced options that allow for better upgrade paths for the future. The memory. In terms of memory,
16
we
gigs,
went with a
3200 megahertz?
T-Force Vulcan Z 16GB kit, which features
What
two
speed?
modules of DDR4 RAM running at a frequency of 3200 megahertz.
Damn, I'm fucking sick. How did I get 3200 megahertz? I'm
Ryzen
clean.
CPU requires high-speed
Yeah,
memory
you want
to
high speed.
perform at its best, and 3200 megahertz is a fine balance of price and performance for now.
Damn, I'm
Dual
clean.
channel configuration has some marginal benefits over a single channel, which is the reason behind our choice of a 2x8 kit. One could spring for a single channel memory instead, of course. Rest assured, there will be more RAM slots available on the board either way for an easy upgrade option in the future. The T-Force Vulcan Z memory kit retails for around $70 on Amazon.
Damn.
It should be an easy pick. The SSD.
A year ago, 3200 megahertz RAM, 16 gigs was that much? No way. How much is it now? Hertz. How much is it now? Let's go to Amazon. That's crazy. It's like $50 now. Oh, you know what? It's supposed to be 65, but it's on sale probably for Black Friday. Yeah, it's probably just on sale for Black Friday. Okay, that's fair. So it was 75 and now it's 65 normally. That's pretty good. Why do I have this in my cart? What is that? In my cart. What the fuck? What was I doing? Anyways.
The PS5 features an 825GB SSD, which operates on a PCIe 4.0 interface and boasts speeds of up to 8 to 9 gigabytes.
It's only 200.
Data. Both Sony and
It's only.
Microsoft
It's not a
have
full
touted the
terabyte.
SSDs to be game
825. I thought it was a full
good
terabyte.
reason.
Or is that the
These
Xbox Series
SSDs
X that
are
has a full
tightly
terabyte
coupled with
SSD?
Other internal components, which make them more efficient and gives developers a lot more flexibility in designing
That's Forza.
engines to make full use of these tool sets. Games made for the PC platform have to
Ah, okay. Oh, that was a bad
account
place.
for thousands of hardware configurations, but SSDs aren't the standard just yet. More so,
SSD should be the standard. If you're still using a hard drive to render your games, like to start your game, stop right now, please. For the love of God, you're ruining it for everyone. Okay. Second, that was actually one of the biggest problems with the PS4 and the Xbox One, is you have to design games around the most common configuration of console. And the most common configuration of console, even after the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X and S came out, was base PS4 and PS4 Slim, with Xbox One, like base Xbox One, slightly behind, right? Xbox One X and S and PS4 Pro were not the standard. So that means that they were designing around the constraints of hard drive speeds, which are tremendously fucking slow, awfully slow. And I think it really ruined a lot of the immersion that could have existed in these first-person like open world titles. Loading screens and like multiplayer games, whatever. Sure, it takes 30 seconds to load in your next match. Who cares, right? Like, sure, it's like not QOL, like it's not quality of life. It doesn't feel great, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But these big open world adventures had to like sneak loading screens in where you're like shimmying through a wall, or you're like in an elevator as the world renders around you, or you're flying in a jet, and the jet like stops in the sky and it's just flying. You see the clouds going around. You're like going to the next location. It's having to render that location is what's happening. And I like that this generation they're finally using SSD technology, and all three consoles, including the Xbox Series S, has an SSD in it, an NVMe SSD. which means that all consoles will now be under the constraints of an NVMe SSD when it comes to load times, boot times, and how fast it can render textures. Because a lot of that comes from the SSD, a lot of that comes from the RAM itself. Those two things are not they work together. They are not exclusive because they work together to render things and to make things load. This generation of console is going to be significantly faster than any, unprecedentedly so, than any console generation we've had before. These are the most powerful consoles relative to their time period. Which I have to admit that it was also the most powerful of all time, but that's, technology advances. So when it comes to the time period they're in, these are the most powerful along the lines of their the spectrum of their hardware. There are people with weaker PCs than the Xbox. What's good, Creeper? There are people with weaker PCs than the PS5 and Xbox Series X, including myself. My PC is very narrowly weaker than an Xbox Series X. It's stronger than the Series S. Yay, but yeah, we're going to fix that soon.
PCIe 4.0 ones. Our choice of a Samsung 870 EVO is based around many of these more practical reasons than anything else. It's affordable, it's durable, and provides plenty of space to store.
No, he's not using an SSD NVMe. No.
Samsung 870
well.
EVO is available at $169 at the time of this writing. Those wanting to replace it with a PCIe 4.0 SSD, such as the Samsung 980 Pro, will also have to spring up for a higher-end B550 motherboard. The power supply. For the power supply, we went with the $100 Corsair CX750.
Do you even need 750 watts for this? Hold on. I feel like I'm gonna stop this guy real quick. This guy doesn't know how to calculate for a power supply. What's good, Creeper? How you doing? This guy is overestimating how much power the system is going to use unless he's going for overclocking. Let's take a looky-loo. Ryzen 7 3700X. What did you use? A 30? He's the 3070, right? 3060? He's the 30. Memory, 2 gig, two modules. Yeah, video card, NVIDIA. I don't know why I didn't go for an AMD video card. I think that's very strange because consoles are mostly based off AMD architecture. And a regular SSD. It was a SATA, right? It wasn't an NVMe. 0 optical drives, I think. Right? Let's say he's only using one monitor because a console would use one monitor. Let's say, I don't know, 27-inch. Calculate. Bro, you can do that under with overclocking, you could probably use like a 550 watt power supply. What in the fuck is this guy doing? Wait, hold on. 3700X. Yeah. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't turn it to game on. It's gaming all the time. It's a gaming computer. My bad. Let's just pretend that the computer is always on. What is the load wattage? It didn't change much. My God, he's really wasting money on that power supply. Okay. Anyways, people are stupid. I should have guessed he could probably do this on it. You still trying to play Paladins? Yeah, we could play some Paladins. Let me finish watching this video.
This is 80 plus bronze certified and should provide.
You could probably buy like an 80 plus gold or an 80 plus platinum for the same price. That's cheaper. I mean, that's less power, right? And then you'd have better performance because you have a more highly rated power supply with less power in it, but your system's never going to use 750 watts. Like, there's no way in the world this system that he's building ever uses 750 watts. That would only be if he's going for upgrades, like puts in 2 more sticks of 8 gigs to get 32 gigabytes of RAM, changes out that 3060 for a 3060 Ti or a 3070, right? And changes out that Ryzen 7 for like a Ryzen 9 3950X. Like, that is the only way this thing is ever going to come close. And I think even then, it still wouldn't come close to 750 watts. You know what? I'm going to check it again. I'm pissed. Oh, I'm pissed. Okay, so let's see. Let's say he changes it to a 3070 Ti, Ryzen 9 3950X, Ryzen X, and then he goes to 8 gigs. 16, not 16. Fuck. 32 gigs of RAM. It's probably going to be something like 600. I'm guessing like 580 watts. 540 watt. Like he's vastly overestimating how much power he's pushing without overclocks, and that's fine. People do. I swear it's like the most common thing that people do with their PCs. It's the most common is that people just buy power supplies that are way too big. Like I was helping someone put together a system, And for some reason, they wanted a 1,000-watt power supply with a 1660 Ti and an i5 10400F. And I was like, was it a 10400? I think it was a 10th gen i5 and a 1660 Ti. And they were like, I want a 1,000-watt power supply. It's like, you don't need it, I promise. But it's your computer, so do whatever you want. You could probably get away with like a 500-watt.
Enough juice to keep all the components running at max TDP.
I don't think
Of course,
you need
this
750
goes without
watts.
saying, don't cheap out on a power supply.
Don't.
The last
He's
thing
right.
a newly built system needs is a motherboard shortage caused by some cheap and unreliable power supply. The cabinet. For the cabinet, we
I wonder what the
went with a
total is going to be of the
Voltaic
system.
S100, which features a tempered glass side panel
pretty.
and a 120mm rear fan. It gets the job done, and at a price point of $70, it's
Not bad.
one of the best out there. Total price, and what about Blu-ray drive, OS, and peripherals? The total price of our proposed build comes at around $1,137.
Damn.
Which is almost 2 times the price
Price
of
of the console, yeah.
A point worth noting here is that we haven't included a Blu-ray drive, a fresh copy of Windows 10, and peripherals, and all of this can bump up this build's price to an even higher number.
Yeah,
PC
14,
gamers
1500.
mostly download games digitally, so a Blu-ray drive isn't really required from a gaming perspective.
I can't even think of games that still go to disc. Like, I can't think of any current games that still go to disc. It'd be cool. I wouldn't mind if like I could have actual physical media instead of going to Steam and EA Origin and Uplay and Epic Games for my games. I would like, and what is the other one? The Riot Game Launcher, Battle.net? Is it Battle.net? I don't remember. I think that's Activision's. It'd be cool if I could actually just buy the game, pop it in, but you can't really. Like it's very not normal.
This configuration should handle almost all of the latest games at a resolution of 4K with respectable settings at comfortable frame rates. For games that prove too demanding for the system at the resolution, supported games can utilize DLSS 2.0 to help
DLSS is a
better
big
performance
help.
results. All in all, it's a lot more flexible and powerful machine than Sony's offerings, albeit with a hefty price premium attached to
A
it.
huge price tag.
Sony uses custom components for its hardware, which is produced at a massive scale, which, by extension, allows it to reach such an enticing price point. Xbox recently revealed that console hardware rarely nets the companies any profits, citing that software royalties and sales contribute to that front instead.
So for anyone who doesn't know, the reason why consoles are so much cheaper than PCs, even now, like, yeah, the PS5 is $600. Ah, that's so much money. Like, when you think about it, it's really not. It's not a lot of money. $600 for a console that could last you up to 7 years. Go ahead and take that $600 or 650, 680, whatever it would be with tax, and divide that by the number of months in 7 years. You could do that for me. That's how much it would cost a month. That is 7 years. Oh my gosh. Plus games, right? You know, you buy some games here and there. You don't even need to. There's so many good free games out there now, right? But say you buy some games, add in another $400. So all in, you're $1,100. Divide that by, I don't know. Yeah, divide that by like 7 years. That's how much value you're getting per month. Like that's how much the value of it costs per month. Like that's not bad. And the reason why they're able to do that is because they're not making money off of the PS5 sales. Like they like to tote their sales as, hey, this many people are in our ecosystem. Like, yay, like we sold this many PS5s or this many PS4s or this many PS2s, right? Because the PS2 is one of the highest selling consoles of all time. I think it might be the highest selling console of all time still. And the reason why they do that is to show you how many people are in their ecosystem. But they don't actually make money. They sell the consoles at a loss. They lose money selling you a PS5 or an Xbox One X or S. It's just the truth. It's the honest to God truth. The hardware in that console definitely costs them more than that $600. The hardware alone, not to mention manufacturing costs, not to mention shipping costs, advertising, marketing, brand deals, okay, all that stuff all together. You're getting that console at a ridiculous fucking cutback price. Crazy cut. Honestly, like if they sold the consoles to make money, no one would buy them because they'd probably be closer to $1,000. Like all in because they're buying these chips and these boards and the RAM and the cases. They're having them all mass produced. They're probably getting a little cutback on it. Let's say they're getting I don't know, a 30% cutback because they bought 1 million or 2 million at the same time, a 2 million order, so they could buy them in bulk. They're gonna be able to sell it to you for like 900, 950 to make money. They might make 30, 40 bucks off each PS4. I mean, sorry, each console, each PS5, Xbox Series console sold at that point. Right? They're not even making a huge margin, but it would be so much harder to get you in the door where they truly make their money, where they make their money off of game sales royalties, PlayStation Plus subscriptions, PlayStation Now subscriptions, PlayStation VR, Xbox Gold subscriptions, Xbox Game Pass subscriptions, which are amazing, by the way. Xbox Game Pass, if you play a lot of single player games, if there's a lot of games you want to play and you don't have the time for all of them, but you have the money to, like, you know, just do some GameFly style shit, $15 a month probably isn't the worst, right? Same thing with, what is it? Xbox Game Pass Ultimate? I think the new one's called Ultimate, where there's even more games you can get for like $10 more. So I think it's like $25 a month instead of $15. That's how they make their money. And that's why consoles are so much cheaper than PCs. The Steam Deck is the same way. They sell the Steam Deck 100%. I'm going to tell you this right now. It seems expensive. $400 for the cheapest, I think, right? It's like $399 for the cheapest. $629.99. So let's say it's $650. It might be $649.99. So let's say $650 for the most expensive Steam Deck. Once again, that hardware is like $1,000. You go look at any other gaming handheld PC, like the Aya Neos, the One X players, the One X Player Mini, the Aya Neo Air. There's like 2 other companies. The GDP Win, right? I know a few of them off the top of my head. You go look at those for similar spec to the Steam Deck, probably even slightly worse because that Zen 3 architecture with the RDNA 2 built-in iGPU, fucking just top notch, right? Those other ones don't have that. But when you look at those, they're like $1,000. I could go to Amazon right now and show you like an Aya Neo Next or an Aya Neo Pro, and it's like, I don't know, $950, $1,000, $1,200 compared to that Steam Deck's half price on the lowest and highest SKU. But it's because they know they're going to be able to make money from you being a part of the Steam ecosystem, buying more games on Steam, and giving them like the royalty money. The difference between Steam doing it and these other companies is 1X Player doesn't make any money off Steam games you buy. So they have to sell you that hardware at a cost margin that's going to make them money. That's why it costs so much more money compared to the Steam Deck.
Of course, as the generation progresses and newer generations,
damn, that game looks
CPUs
fucking nice.
and GPUs provide
I'm always blown away. Every time I see this game, I'm so blown away, man. It looks so fucking
more horsepower for the same price, or hardware as used in our proposed build becomes older and by extension cheaper, the gap will narrow down by a great margin.
Let's see how much it would cost now to build the PC that they said, because it was, what was it, $1,100, right?
As it always has in the past. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you
They said it was like
saw, please hit the
$1,100,
like
right?
button.
Not including a monitor, not including keyboard and mouse, which you can get keyboard and mouse pretty cheap. And if you are already looking to buy a PS5, you probably have a monitor, right? Or a TV. We're not going to count that in the total. Let's see. I guess we got to buy all new, right? 3700X. Brand new. I guess we go for Amazon, right? I don't want to put it all in cart. We'll just keep everything ready. Keep it tabbed up and we'll just tally it all at the end. RTX 3060. There's probably Black Friday deals, so this is super unfair. I shouldn't be doing this today. Like, more than likely there's Black Friday deals, right? Take a looky-loo. Oh my goodness. Jeez. Yeah, you're not getting that at MSRP. Hey, that's actually really close to MSRP, actually, because MSRP is $329. Oh, look at the price it normally is, $509.99, but it's $349 because, once again, Black Friday. Damn, that's unfortunate. Oh well, let's just look at the prices. Who cares? They use Team Group, right? It's cheaper now. What is this? 3200 megahertz, yeah. At $43 to 44. It's gonna take a while. We need a case too and a power supply. We're gonna go for the same power supply they have. We're gonna keep it fair. It wouldn't be fair if we like swapped power supplies. It's $100. I'll just leave that tab up. I can see it's $100. Dude, this shit seems expensive already. I still need a motherboard. What did they use? B450M Pro? B450M Pro. B450 Pro. I don't remember which one it was. Maybe was it the Pro 4? Whatever. Yeah, $70. Ryzen 2nd and 3rd gen, M.2. It does not have PCIe 4.0. And they use the Samsung ADATA. We'll just get a regular one. Who cares? Just look at one. Okay, so that's $70, $75. And then a case. And we'll total all this together and see how much it's going to cost. I don't remember what case they used. Thermal take. I don't remember what fucking case they used. Was it this one? No, that's not it. Because this one's only $50. They said their case was like 75. It looks pretty similar. Does it have a tempered glass side panel? It doesn't. This one doesn't have a tempered glass side panel, is it? Also, they didn't put any case fans. They didn't put any case fans in that bitch. There's like, yeah, run it with whatever it's got. Fuck it. Okay. And let's pull out our calculator. Our handy. We'll pull out the calculator, and as we calculate it, we'll close the tab so we don't get anything confused. So we got. Let's go 55. All right, close that. Close that too. 75. Oh. And close that. 85. This already seems like it's going to be fucking still pretty close to just as expensive. I don't think it's going to go down that much. 100. And this is without shipping cost. $50. Let's just do 50 and 360. 50. Oh. Where is the history? Because I just lost where I was at. Oh no. Oh no. History. There it is. Okay, so I'm here. Plus 50 or 45 for that. 45 and 360. Plus 360. Plus 45. Oh, it is a little bit cheaper, actually. We're already almost done. All we got left is 260. It is cheaper, plus 260. Hey, that's not bad. It went down a whole $200. You know, as much as I'm trolling about that, for a price to performance, you know, close to the PS5, that's not bad for a PC. That's pretty good. Creeper, you ready? That's not bad. Now, good luck building a $600 PC that's going to come even close to the new generation consoles. It would be nuts. That'd be hard to do. I'll take